Save money by doing it yourself and skip calling an expensive plumber. In this episode of Fisicality, I'll go over the basic steps to easily replace the old-style Sterling Kohler shower valve. If you have a leaking or not properly mixing Kohler shower valve with the square post, and it looks like this one, you most likely have their mixing valve model number 5300FS. A direct replacement part should be stamped with B4304 on its face. For a proper full repair, you'll also need the pressure balancing unit, or PBU, part number GP800820. The old style PBU is the GP500520. You can still get them, mostly as cheap knockoff versions, but they are harder to find. When you get it, it should come with the necessary O-rings and maybe a little silicone plumber's grease. To be sure, you can get a tube of silicone plumber's grease online for just a few bucks. Just make sure to get the kind made especially for O-rings. This one is Danco part number 88693. Now, I'm confident that regular silicone plumber's grease should work just fine, but they make one specifically for O-rings, so that's what I'm going to use. I'd recommend staying away from the petroleum-based plumber's greases though. They have a tendency to degrade and prematurely age some plastics and rubber. Now, here's what you don't want to do. Don't get the Kohler repair kit part number GP876851, thinking that that's going to work. It won't. At least I couldn't get it to work. In defense of the product listing, I didn't see where it said the kit was compatible with the 5300. However, the diagram shows a valve that's quite similar to it and shows an adapter for style A that should work with the shower couplings bolt pattern that I have. But as far as I can tell, this adapter is a phantom. It doesn't exist. Reaching out on the Kohler support site, I was able to find a thread on this exact scenario. The poster says they couldn't find the pictured adapter. Sounds familiar, right? And the rep says you don't need it because the 5300 is still the current part number and wouldn't be able to use that adapter anyway. But by this time, my dander was up, and I wanted to find that adapter, even if I couldn't use it. It just doesn't exist. Feel free to prove me wrong and set me straight though. I got a comment section down there. You can use it. Unfortunately for the video, but not my repair, I didn't get any footage of my install because I had an exigent circumstance to deal with. But as a pseudo-intellectual, I've borrowed footage from other sources to help you visualize the procedure. With the correct parts, this install is very straightforward. There are only 3 steps for the actual replacement. 1. Remove the handle and trim. 2. Remove the mixer valve. 3. Remove the pressure balancing unit. You can think of the handle and trim just like you would your outdoor spigot knob. Serves the same function. The mixer valve, that's the thing under the trim that attaches to the handle and moves when you turn it. And the pressure balancing unit, that's the thing that evens out the water flow from the pipes that's underneath the mixer valve. Let's review the repair in a detailed walkthrough. Step 1. First thing, turn off the water supply. If you forget this step, you're gonna know about it real quick once you start unbolting stuff. Step 2. Next important thing, cover up the shower drain hole. Can't stress this one enough. And also place a rag or something else to block stuff from going in places you don't want them to go, like the void that's in the wall. I found that a rolled up piece of plastic mat or poster board works well for round holes. Hard to source parts and screws have a tendency to jump into crevices and fall down drains, so I would not skip this step. Step 3. Relieve the water pressure by turning on a valve located on the highest level of the house. Remove the handle and trim, then the mixing valve, and then the PBU. Step 4. Clean the mount point. I wiped it down real good, and then after protecting the area to avoid backflow finding its way into the void in the wall, I cut the water on for a few seconds a couple of times, pulsing it to give everything a really good flush. Step 5. On the PBU, lube up the O-rings for its backside that connects to the main water inlet and install them into the PBU. Insert the PBU into the water manifold housing by orienting it vertically and pushing it straight in. And I mean straight in, no twisting. Twisting might misalign the connection or make the O-rings pop off. Also, this newer style PBU is orientation specific and has a dedicated cold side. Generally, this is on the right side, but if you have a special setup that deviates from this, just ensure that you make sure the cold side aligns with your cold side water supply. Step 6. On the mixing valve, Adjust the valve stem so it's in the off position. There's a tiny mark on one of the corners of the stem when looking at it straight on. This corner should be aligned with the center of the two marks under the word off on the face of the valve. If you have trouble figuring out which corner is the correct one, you can turn the valve body around and twist it until the holes close. You just need to do it so that when you turn it in the direction that would open the water flow, that it opens with the cold side first. That's counterclockwise for me. Step 7. On the mixing valve, lube up the O-rings for its backside that connects to the PBU and install them onto the little protruding barrels. Insert the mixing valve by orienting vertically and pushing it straight in. Again, no twisting. Install the assembly by screwing in the 4 corner screws. Step 8. Double check that the stem is in the off position. Replace the trim and handle. Step 9. When it's time to turn the main water supply back on after it's been off for a while and the pressure has been released, don't just cut the water supply back on full blast and roll with it. First, you've got to get the air out of the water supply line. The recommended procedure is to go slowly. Turn the main water supply on 1/4 to halfway, and then as you progress to each spigot, again, turn them on slowly. It's air. It doesn't need much room to hiss out. Once the sputtering stops, give it about 20 seconds to verify a steady stream with no hiccups, then turn the water off. Starting on the first floor, bleed air from the spigots closest to the water supply first. Then, one by one, do the same on the second floor and each subsequent floor. To be safe, I always go back and turn all the spigots on in the same order one final time, and I leave them on just enough to get a healthy flow, but far from full on. When I'm done, I have every spigot on and I'm listening for air sputters. It only takes a minute or two, and if you want to capture that water in containers for some other use, you'll minimize your waste. If all is well and there are no leaks, I cut all of the spigots off and pat myself on the back for a job well done. Step 10. However, if you have a leak like I did, you may have to tighten down some bolts or, in my case, add a second O-ring to the mixing valve. I had a second O-ring for the valve body because usually the PBU kit and the valve body kit both include this O-ring. If it had continued to leak after that, I have an O-ring kit that includes a thick O-ring that it was a little bit small in diameter, but I could stretch it out around the mixing valve, and I was going to try to use that. But I didn't need to use it this time. Since I had to really crank on that aftermarket O-ring to get it around the valve body, know that if you decide to do this, understand that this may introduce premature failure due to stretching the O-ring way past what it was designed for. I've also seen these valves leak right at the valve stem. The time I had that happen to me, the leak went away after a few minutes of me periodically turning the handle back and forth. And I gotta tell you, that doesn't inspire confidence in any kind of way. So you will be well served to keep an eye out for any leaky valve, at least for a few days to a few weeks, or until you had confidence that the issue was resolved. But if all goes well, that's it. No more dripping and no more weird temperature changes when you're in the shower. So now you can move on to fixing the next item in your punch down list. Good luck on your next project, and thanks for watching.